Hello, this is yet another white guy giving out his thoughts and opinions to the world. In today's video, we're going to talk about abortion. I'm on the pro-abortion side. Why I call it pro-choice? I don't need to sugarcoat it. They're just going to say pro-abortion anyway. Today we're going to discuss four different things that are going to be support for abortion. The first of which is going to be body autonomy. This is where you have the ability to control what happens to your body. You have the choice and the freedom to say you can or cannot do anything with my body without my permission. So, if you had a human being, and we're talking about an adult human being with thoughts, feelings, emotions, all that good stuff, not a set of cells that are still forming, um, and that individual is going to die unless you give them the kidney. You do not have to give them a kidney. That is what you have. You have the right to control what happens to your body. This is key to all the other freedoms that we have. Right? So a lot of people will say, well, they consented to have sex, so they've consented to have the child. Just like as far as giving a kidney. If you say, yes, I'm willing to give you a kidney, and this guy's like, oh, thank you so much. You're going to save my life by giving me this kidney. You get in there to the doctor's office. You go, wait, I've changed my mind. I no longer want to give away a kidney. You revoke consent, and at that point, they don't take your kidney. That guy dies. You can smile at him the whole time he's dying, and it's all fine. No one can do anything to force you to do that. Now, I really shouldn't have to go past this point, but there are a lot of people who don't really care about this. And I'm going to start talking about some of the other aspects of why abortion should be supported, regardless of even if you don't believe in bodily autonomy. The first of which is going to be religion, because that's one of the major ones that comes into, people say, oh, it's against my religion. Most likely, you are a worshiper of Yahweh. I am not. I do not worship any God. I'm an atheist. Yahweh is the God from the Bible, which is the God for the Christians, the Muslims, the Catholics, the Baptists, the Jews, the whatever most of the religions that are in the major religions in the world are some variation of cult of Yahweh followers, right? So in the Bible, there's a passage where someone punches a wife of a man who has a child and causes a miscarriage. In this case, it's just considered property damage. It's not considered any kind of criminal intent. And the individual has to pay back the husband for the damages that he's done to the husband's property. That's it. On top of that, there is also another passage where a cheating wife who got pregnant is forced to have a miscarriage through the ordeal of bitter water, which is performed by a priest to cause a miscarriage, right? So again, not a problem with getting rid of fetus. In this case, priest actually performed the abortion. And the reason for this is you can find in the Bible in numerous places that the breath of life is when you get your soul. So if you do believe in Yahweh and you do follow the teachings of Yahweh, you don't believe that a fetus has a soul. And we're not talking about first trimester, second trimester. We're talking until that child comes out and takes a breath. Because when that child takes a breath is when the breath of life happens, and that's when the soul enters the body. The husk becomes a person. Before that, it's not a person. It is just an empty husk, and that's what you leave when you go, and that's what you have when you come. All right? So next up is I'm gonna say, okay, you don't believe in religion, and then at this point number 3 is just going to be from an economic perspective for the individuals who are super selfish, right? Like, it's not about controlling somebody else's body. It's not about what they do with it. It's just you're worried about yourself and you want to make your life easier. You want to pay less taxes. This is also very good for you, right? Because hospitals have to take care of any kind of life-threatening situation. So they have to perform pregnancies, even if the person doing the pregnancy can't afford it, right? They have to take care of the child after it's been born to make sure that it can, live and nurture and all the rest of that kind of stuff, even if the individual who has that child doesn't have the money to support it. So after that child starts growing up, welfare can kick in, right? So in all those situations, you're going to have to pay either taxes, or you're going to have to deal with additional higher health costs to cover so that business doesn't lose money. It has to leverage the individuals who are paying to pay more to cover for the cost of the ones who can't pay. And that's just basic business 101. Through the cost of your health care and through the cost of your taxes, you're going to support those people who would have been who could have had an abortion, right? So selfishly speaking, abortion, even if the government paid for it, it was free to anyone who wanted it. It would still be dramatically less for you, and saving your taxes and your costs, right? Now, another thing that you might want to think about is the wages that are increased. Now, this might not seem intuitive to you, but the more people who are in the workforce, the higher the supply. So through abortions, there's less people in the workforce, which, as we saw after COVID, it means that there's a higher demand for individuals who are going to come to work and do work, and that increases the amount that they get paid. The biggest example of this in history is the Black Plague, which brought a lot of serfs and peasants into the middle class because it killed so many people that to find workers was very difficult. So the power went to the worker rather than the employee, because the demand was much higher for workers than it was for a job. There were a lot of jobs that were impossible to fill because there just weren't workers for it. So where the workers chose, they were paid much better, and they were valued a lot more because of that, because there was no choice, right? They were in high demand, right? So for number 4, it's going to be the emotional one. So we just went through the one that has no emotion and it's all selfish. Now we're going to go through the one that's emotional. It's not about the babies, right? Now I'm not going to state the exact numbers here. I'm just going to go through and give a general, but you can look these up if you want to. So there are roughly 400,000 children in foster care, babies. There are roughly 4 million children a year who are abused, babies. There are roughly 9 million children right now who don't know where their next meal is going to come from. They're starving babies in this country. 42 million survivors of sexual abuse, 70 of which are under 17 years of age, 20 of which are under 8 years of age. Babies, like not just children, but like infant babies under 8. 20% of that 42 million number. So if it were about the babies, we wouldn't have any children in foster care. We wouldn't have children who were abused every year. We wouldn't have children who were molested every year. We wouldn't have children who are starving right now. We would provide the financial support so that there was free health care, that there was free food, that there was free lodging, that there was free education, that there was free child care. We would make sure that the babies were taken care of if it was about the babies. But it's not about the babies. It's controlling someone else's body, which, as I said in the very beginning, we don't want to do that. We don't want anyone to control ours. We shouldn't be trying to control anyone else's. So, this is yet another white guy giving his opinions and thoughts to the world. I hope to see you next time.